Hi there, and welcome back to You Don't Know Her, the Mindset Podcast, all about creating the best life for yourself, one by design, not by default. And today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Mark France. How are you doing?
How are you doing, Luke? Great to be here, thank you.
You're very welcome. And, well, first of all, to introduce yourself, Mark, you're a hypnotherapist. You're someone I've grown very close with over the last few months. Can you sort of give us a little background on yourself?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
It's a massive question, but yeah, hypnotherapy and sort of NLP coaching, it's a whole mixed bag of magical wonder. But yeah, basically it's trying to help people through all sorts of issues, whatever they might be, anxieties and so forth, all these limiting behaviours and bad habits that we get into as society. And my personal journey really is all about trying to help people because I've managed to survive and help myself through all the darkness. So I want to be there for everybody else, really.
Amazing, perfect. So obviously you mentioned about helping people through thought process, through anxiety, and that's exactly the reason that I got in touch with you way back in October now, a few months ago.
Way back.
Way back, I know. It just feels like a lifetime ago for me, but I know it's not
different life, though, see.
Different life. So I got in touch with you at the time. I don't mind sharing about my difficulties then, but I was very socially anxious, nervous generally, but the main thing I was coming to you for was my IBS. I had an issue with my health, and it was just affecting my life and affecting kind of my enjoyment of life, sports, that kind of thing. So reached out to you, thought, I've got nothing to lose. I've spent a lot of money trying different medications and different treatments, a lot of time spent on meditation, things like this. Nothing, it appeared, seemed to work for me, and this was just another thing. That's what I was looking at, and I was quite skeptical going into that and myself. But can you kind of pick that story up from your side of it, of kind of how you perceived sort of me coming in and kind of the change you've seen in me as well?
Absolutely, Luke, absolutely. I think the first thing I recognised was that skepticalness, whatever it is. And it's absolutely typical. Most people might want to get in touch on the basis that they've tried everything already. And they don't know what everything is, of course, but that perception is there. I've been to the doctors, I've tried the medication, I've spent money on the tablets and the injections or whatever the things available on Facebook and all these sort of things. And so they're at their wits' end, they've tried everything. And they still start with a place of thinking, well, hypnotherapy is probably woo-woo, it's not going to work anyway, but I've got nothing else to lose, so why not? So almost desperation, almost looking for a miracle cure, if you like. And I think the first thing that when we spoke on the phone, I'd just put your mind at rest with the spirit of I'm committed to the result. Because whether it's about time, whether it's about the money, it doesn't matter. I'm genuinely committed to getting the results that people are looking for. And that's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. So whatever it takes. So I've got a range of skills in the toolbox that can work. And so that put your mind at rest. I could tell that over the phone straight away, the way you started talking differently and relaxed a little bit more. And then there was excitement about coming into the first session, which is brilliant because that's half my job done already instead of fear. But of course, still a bit of, well, what's actually going to happen? What is this hypnosis like all about? And so when we did then the first session, it was quite incredible because I gave you total confidence. In fact, if anything, I held your belief for you until you were able to believe it yourself. I was that committed to and that certain in the results. And we agreed how long it might take before the absence of IBS symptoms actually would be qualified as a success, and based on your track record with it all. And I think you said even just 7 days without an episode would be a fantastic success. And I'm a super achiever, so I said, well, let's go for a month, let's go for a fortnight or something like that. Let's double it up. And I checked in with you afterwards a couple of times, and you said, it's just ridiculous. I can't believe it. You said, this is just magic. It's absolutely sorted. Like that, one session, done. And I think you'd been suffering for like 10 years or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
So, an hour and a half later, I mean, it does sound a little bit illogical.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have a 10-year problem and expect a 10-year solution. And that just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense in that spirit. You can have the problem for as long as you've had the problem. And it can be sorted literally within a couple of hours.
That's exactly my mindset as well, was coming in thinking, I want you to help me, I want you to kind of reduce the flares. That's what I was looking at. I really didn't expect it to be solved, and here I am, we're in March now of the next year, and I've had no issues ever since that first session.
That's 5 months.
That's 5 months, so it's worth it. That's worth it. All of King Midas's silver, or whatever the phrase is. Any money on earth, I would have paid that to kind of enjoy the life that I can just not worry about going to social events, not worry about playing my sports or anything like that. But beyond that, you've changed my mindset on confidence, on anxiety, and I've always had these things I've wanted to do and wanted to explore. You know, films. I've always been big in filmmaking. I love my music, doing more collaborations, things like that. Football. I'm recently going to be starting coaching for a local football team. Loads of different things like that. None of that I would have dreamed possible in what I'd let my life become, which was I'm someone who has to kind of deal with this problem and put myself into my little box that the world's put me into, which was in a job that I wasn't really fulfilled in or enjoying. And now I'm happier than ever. So that's the main message for me.
That's exactly right, though, Luke, because what happens is when you've got something like IBS or anxiety or addictions or bad habits, whatever these things are, these actually become your identity. And the modern world of Western medicine actually doesn't say that you have something. They tell you that you are something. I am depressed. I am anxious. It becomes identity based, and that shapes into every single behaviour, every walk of life. So when you are IBS sufferer, that identity stops you from getting into the football, being on set, playing your music. It cripples everything. And of course, having sorted that one bit out, then sure enough, confidence naturally flows. Because I haven't given you confidence, I've just released it from its cave, and it's allowed out.
Yeah.
Now look at you.
Flying. Who'd have thunk it?
Absolutely,
making me on my own podcast. So to take you back to kind of what you touched on at the very start of the chat today was about your own journey and your own darkness was the word you used. Would you be able to go into a bit more detail on
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
That
Yeah. So I'd spent 20 odd years in the health and safety industry, changing people's behaviours, why they were having accidents. I was concerned with why people would perceive their behaviour to be sensible, and then they'd lose an arm or crash a forklift truck into a warehouse or whatever those things were. And changing people's behaviours was just a natural passion for me, and it became such that I know for a fact I've saved people's lives in the workplace. I've trained with Tony Robbins in terms of behavioural psychology, practical psychology, but they weren't really certificated in that sense. They were just applications into the real world. And sadly, a few years ago, my missus passed away and left us with a little 2-year-old daughter who's magical. And she's 11 now, so those years were the darkest of my entire life. I mean, suicidal thoughts were right there on a regular basis. It was only by the gift of God, really, that I didn't walk into the sea and just take us out, because it was horrible. And I went looking for some kind of support, therapy, whatever you might call it. And to be honest with you, it was just not available. I couldn't find it anywhere. The doctors said, we'll put you on antidepressants. I said, how's that going to change the reality of things? You know, it just squashes the chemicals of the brain and makes you just... I don't get the point of that. It's not dealing with the issues. I needed to understand. I needed to process stuff. So I went on a bit of a search, and suddenly I've got a wall full of certificates in terms of NLP, mastery, integrated eye movement therapies, metaphors of movement, which is probably one of the most powerful things actually out there that people have never heard of. So I've got all these skills in the toolbox, as well as hypnosis. And hypnosis really is just the method with which we put those therapies into place. They basically, it breaks through the conscious critical faculty, as they call it, which is this logical sense of, well, will it work, won't it work, it won't work for me because, and all these stories that we've all got, and I'm not disrespecting them in any way, but getting rid of that critical faculty and getting people into that relaxed state, then the true therapy through neuro-linguistic programming and all the other bits, that's where all change can happen in the subconscious. And so without my darkness, you know, forget the certification, I've got that unique combination of experience, of wanting to kill myself. I've had all sorts of addictions and issues in the past, and the darkness of self-coping and all those sort of things. Been through all the official channels, and the lack of support was just ridiculous. And yet here I am, shining bright, rocking and rolling, and living my best life. And it just shows you that the power of the unconscious mind is insane. It cannot be measured. It's ridiculous. But yet we filter it and we trap it in its own little cage, again, behind these identities. The things I used to say to myself and the way I used to present my identity was horrifying. But they changed. I'm amazing.
Yeah. Would you be comfortable talking about what that identity looked like for you? What would it be a case of, at your lowest, would you be saying, I am I'm worthless.
Oh,
with those
there's
kind of
a
things.
lot worse than that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some horrible swear words, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm stupid. I'm a cretin.
Yeah.
I'm useless. I'm hopeless. I might as well kill myself. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrestled so hard with the dilemma between nobody cares and feeling utterly isolated and desperate about it versus actually nobody cares, so I can do whatever I like.
Yeah.
And thinking, well, that could be quite empowering.
Yeah.
But you get arrested if you did whatever you like. So we live in society, unfortunately. So you've got to be a little bit. And then I'd spend 95% of my time in the darkness, sitting on my own, totally isolated. When you've got serious grief issues like that, your best friends seem to think that I'm making it difficult for them to be my friend. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm grieving. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's those thoughts create your reality. That's the phrase, isn't it?
That's exactly it, man. Exactly.
It's exactly where I was at as well. I think with sort of, I know a lot of people went through COVID, especially. It was a very difficult time for many, losing family, but just the general change of life and change of pace. And that was when I was diagnosed with depression, and that's how I felt. I'd been to university, I'd got a first class honours degree, and then I was for my mind, struggling in a essentially minimum wage job and thinking why, and not understanding it. I'd had my careers advisor tell me in uni, people don't enjoy their work. People don't. I don't enjoy going to work. It's something you've got to do, and that's what my mind became. And it was always a case of, right, I'm not going to be happy. I can't do this, can't do that, can't, and then something finally, and that's the life I'd lent into and thought, right, I'm going to appreciate what I do, like the weekends, spending time with the family, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But 5/7 of my week became, I'm doing something that I absolutely hate, and I've got no control over that.
50 of the 52 weeks becomes doing that same thing, waiting for the fortnight's holiday.
Yeah,
to get
fortnight's holiday,
absolutely.
and now meeting you, and seeing what you offer, your service, hypnotherapy, changing the mindset, everything like that. It's just opened up a whole new world of possibility to me, and I know that you can do that for just about anyone as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I start with a simple question, and it's the most difficult thing in the world for people to answer. But if you start and you answer the question, I am ... it fries people's brains. They come up with identity in the sense of maybe job titles. I am a hypnotherapist. No, I'm not. That's just what I do. That's not what I am. And yet we've got all these conditioned boxes in which we are sort of made to live by society. I am a job title. I am a father figure. I'm a role model. I'm a brother. I'm a family member. I'm a sports person. These are all various identities, but none of them really shape who we truly are. And when you get down to the values of what you really value most, and then find that they're inconsistent with your behaviours, strangely, that's where the anxieties creep in. And of course, by then realigning the unconscious mind with the values and the behaviours, suddenly we get happy. It's ridiculous. It's that simple. Yeah. But we don't know what we value, and we don't know why we behave like we do. We just keep doing the same thing we're doing. And of course, marketing, advertising, selling, the capitalist world that we live in is funneling us into a world of unhappiness, because guess what we do when we're unhappy? We go buy stuff. And when we buy stuff, we perceive that we're happier. And so the world goes round. And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's money talks, and it's the marketing and getting in your head, getting in the customers' heads.
Absolutely.
You need to do this. You're going to be happier if you've got this. And it's never going to fulfill the meaning and the void in your life of thinking. It's never, no matter how many expensive super yachts or whatever it may be or anything, isn't going to reach it, is it? So even from your own side as a hypnotherapist, I'd say from our conversations, it seems like you're even seeing issues within hypnotherapy as well.
Yes.
So can you speak about specifically what Dare2Dream is trying to achieve and what it's compared to the rest of the industry almost?
It's a great question, Luke. Thank you. Yeah. Because it's a non-regulated industry, pretty much anyone. I mean, I could call myself a clinical psychotherapist. I mean, that sounds incredible, doesn't it? What a job title. Sounds like I've got 14 PhDs and studied for 30,000 years. It's madness. There's a lot of people out there that are claiming to be hypnotherapists or in some way therapy, and they've no idea how to actually connect the behaviours with the desired outcomes. It's not about the therapy. They may be able to put some person into trance, but they don't know how to therapize. So trying to get regulation in this industry is actually then almost counterintuitive, because there's so many training providers then that make you dance through hoops for ever so many weeks and don't have necessarily any therapy involved in it still. They're just creating a long course that has so many hours of CPD in there and so on and so on. So I think there's a unique stand where I am, where it's about the client-centered application of this stuff and recognizing through personal experience, by utilizing the best of the knowledge that's out there and working mostly with the client's unconscious mind to say, well, what do you actually want? What would happy look like for you? What is the resolution that you want to change from where you are to where you want to be? Let's get a roadmap out for that. And it's very and absolutely unique to that person, because nobody's got the same definition of happiness as somebody else. It's just crap that we've been thrown upon, saying this must mean happiness. So I work very uniquely with that individual, and I pull whatever techniques are appropriate for that person. And that's what Dare2Dream is all about, is having the courage to genuinely make a change, to stand up and say, no, I'm not happy with this. And to dream what you want. What are the goals that you want? What are you looking for? Sometimes it can be as simple as, I don't want to be on pharmaceutical antidepressants.
Exactly.
Because why? I'm telling you now, whoever out there, your anxiety is not a shortage of citalopram in your system. It's not. Yeah. And to just take those tablets just pacifies society, and indeed is marketing and profitable and all the rest of it. But to get people off that medication is just a rewiring of the unconscious mind, changing of the neural pathways. Yeah. And it's ridiculously easy to do.
Yeah. I completely agree. I heard a statistic recently saying 3% of money in the US for medicine goes to preventative medicine, but 75% of people who go through doctors' doors are there for things that could have been prevented. Yeah. Is that what hypnotherapy is, and other techniques like it? It's kind of, well, it can obviously cure issues, but also getting them early before it becomes a problem, sort of changing habits and tweaking mindset, that kind of thing.
A bit of both. Again, it can, if you get in there early, it resolves the problem quicker. But at the same time, that the extent of the duration that you've had the problem doesn't mean anything. If you've been depressed for 43 years, absolutely doesn't make a difference to the time scale. The only difference is the brain's patterns of behaviour have been wired in, like for 40 odd years. But you can rewire them in very short periods of time. It doesn't take another 40 years to untangle all that sort of situation. So the wonderful thing about the hypnotherapy is that all of this is done at the unconscious level, and the body and the mind as one, the mind-soul connection, it's already predetermined to know what's right for you, to know what's healthy, to know what's good. And we're persuaded out of that mindset by the world of marketing and the ultra-processed foods and all the rest of it. Veganism should be the simplest and most natural choice in the world, for example, but because you can buy all these other products with stuff in, you think, well, that's tasty. And we're being wired into a different behaviour. We're being conditioned. So by getting back into the unconscious mind and aligning it with what truly is important to that individual, then the therapy is a piece of cake. It really is. It's just, or a piece of lettuce, depending on your metaphor. But it's just a natural position. And when the unconscious mind realizes and is thanked and appreciated for doing what it's doing, it's only ever trying to protect us and keep us safe. But sometimes it gets wired up in the wrong way, because recognition is given to it for say it's trying to keep us alive the whole time long. So if we're hungry, for example, and we're lonely and we're isolated and we're scared and anxious, and the advert comes along and says, eat cream cakes, it'll make you feel better. And so we eat loads of cream cakes. We go, it did make me feel better. I am alive. Your unconscious mind says, I'll try that again tomorrow. Are you feeling scared and lonely? Yeah, I'll have a cream cake. Oh, I'm still alive. Well done. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Before you know it, you're 74 stone, addicted to cream cakes, and still miserable and unhappy. But the brain has realised you're still alive, and that's its primary function. So it thinks it's done the right thing. And just by unraveling that and basically getting the unconscious mind to try something new, hey presto, you've changed eating disorders and changed those habits.
Yeah, we've changed so much as a society from hunter-gatherers that would seek out and have limited access to these sugary foods or anything like that, and put in a lot of hours of work, hunting for the food. It's all, almost a comfort crisis at the moment of anything you want is there at the click of a button or wherever it may be. So is that And even to the idea of community, of society, seeming, we should be closer than ever with communication, but we're actually almost further than ever. But would your message come down to kind of speaking to people as well around you, in even before going to professionals like yourself, just opening up?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got 6 human needs. Tony Robbins talks about them quite often, and connection and contact is crucial. The connection we feel with people through talking to each other is fundamental. And yet it's what probably, as you say, one of the things that's gone more than ever in society. We're so isolated. I mean, you get everything delivered to your door and you don't even see the courier. Everything's done on an app. There's no need to talk to anyone. You go into a pub nowadays, you don't have to go to the bar to get your drink. You order it on an app and someone delivers it to your table, for God's sake. I mean, when did we last say thank you to a human being? It's crazy. So, yeah, communication, contact, connection with people is absolutely fundamental. Yeah. Because, again, it fuels the loneliness, the isolation, the anxiety.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's what we're doing today. We're here having that chat, aren't we? But,
absolutely.
But perfect. I think that's actually a lovely point to end on for that one, Mark. So,
great stuff.
For my final question for you, if people do want to get in touch with you or find out more about yourself, where can you direct them to? Do you have a website? Yeah,
absolutely. So www.Dare2Dream now, that's with the number 2, Dare2Dream now.co.uk. And I've got a therapy centre in Redcar, so feel free to give us a call and let's talk.
Perfect, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks.